Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. His 4 arms moved across the command console with practiced ease. The holographic display showed a map of the outer spiral arm of the galaxy. Red dots marked Empire territory. Green dots showed Allied worlds. Yellow dots were neutral systems, but there was a new color on the map now. Blue dots scattered across several systems that used to be empty. Humans, he said the word like it tasted bad in his mouth. His aide commander stepped forward with a data tablet. The intelligence reports are complete, Admiral said. The species calls itself humanity or humans. They emerged from a system they call Sol approximately 50 standard years ago. They have established colonies on 17 worlds so far. Looked at the data with his large, golden eyes. The humans were young, very young by galactic standards. Most species took hundreds of years to develop space travel. These humans had done it in less than 100 years. But that meant nothing. Fast development usually meant weak technology. What weapons do they use? Asked. Primitive kinetic projectiles, Admiral. Metal bullets fired by chemical explosions. Their ships use chemical rockets and basic nuclear drives. No energy weapons detected. No shield technology observed. Their hulls appear to be simple metal alloys. Made a sound that was like laughter among his people. Chemical rockets, metal bullets, are they serious? He turned to look at the tactical display. How many ships do they have? Estimates suggest between 200 and 300 vessels across all their colonies. Most are cargo ships or small patrol boats. They have maybe 50 ships that could be called warships, but they are tiny compared to our cruisers. The Admiral walked to the large viewing window. Stars stretched out before him like scattered diamonds. The Empire controlled over 3,000 systems. They had fleets that numbered in the tens of thousands. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their shields could stop anything. For 600 years, no enemy had been able to stand against them. Have they made any hostile moves? Asked. No, Admiral. They seem focused on building colonies and mining operations. They have sent several diplomatic messages requesting peaceful contact. Our linguists have learned their language. They appear to want trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Peaceful contact, repeated. How refreshing. Most young species either attack us immediately or surrender without a fight. These humans want to talk. He paused. That will make this easier. Sir, the Emperor has decided that this region of space belongs to the Empire now. These human colonies are in systems we want for our own expansion. The humans must be removed. Commander nodded. This was normal procedure. When the Empire wanted new territory, they simply took it. If other species were already there, they were given a choice. Join the Empire as servants or be destroyed. Most chose to serve. Those who chose to fight were quickly crushed. How large a fleet should we send, Admiral? Looked at the tactical display again. 17 human colonies. Maybe 300 ships total. Primitive weapons and no shields. It would be like stepping on insects. A standard subjugation fleet should be more than enough. 200 ships. We will give them the usual choice. Surrender and serve or be destroyed. With their primitive technology, they will see that resistance is hopeless. Which system should we target first? Here, pointed to a blue dot on the display, they call it New Geneva. It appears to be one of their larger colonies. About 2 million humans live there. When we crush their defenses there, word will spread to their other colonies. They will surrender without a fight. A wise choice, Admiral. Should we send advanced scouts? No need. Our long-range sensors can tell us everything we need to know. Chemical rockets cannot outrun our quantum drives. Metal bullets cannot penetrate our shields. This will be over before it begins. Felt satisfied. Another quick victory for the Empire. Another primitive species brought under control. He had done this many times before. That had lasted 2 days. That had surrendered after seeing just one demonstration of firepower. The humans would probably surrender immediately. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. "We leave in 6 hours. I want to be at New Geneva within 10 standard days. Make sure the surrender terms are ready in their language, and prepare the demonstration charges. Sometimes a show of force prevents unnecessary bloodshed." As his crew began preparations, returned to studying the intelligence reports, the humans were indeed primitive. Their largest ships were barely 300 meters long. Destroyers were larger than that. Their weapons had ranges measured in kilometers. Weapons could hit targets in different solar systems. But something in the reports caught his attention. The humans had been very interested in peaceful contact. They had sent many messages asking about technology and culture. They wanted to learn. They asked detailed questions about energy weapons and shield technology. They seemed fascinated by ship designs. "Curious little creatures," muttered. "Too bad curiosity will not save them." He dismissed the thought. Curiosity was common among young species. They always wanted to understand the galaxy better. It did not matter. In a few days, the humans would either be servants of the Empire or they would be dead. Either way, their systems would belong to the Eternal Glory's engines began warming up. Around it, 199 other ships prepared for departure. Cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels. More firepower than had ever been assembled against such a weak enemy. It was like bringing an army to fight a single child. Smiled with satisfaction. This would be the easiest conquest in history. The warning came at 3:47 hours, Earth Standard Time. Captain Maria Santos sat in her command chair aboard the UES Monitor, a small patrol ship orbiting New Geneva. Her communications officer turned toward her with a pale face. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Deep Space Sensor Array." "Put it on screen." The main display flickered to life. A tired-looking technician appeared from the sensor station 50 light-years away. "Captain Santos, this is Deep Space Station 7. We have detected a large fleet approaching your position. 200 vessels, unknown configuration. Estimated arrival time is 8 days." Maria felt her blood turn cold. 200 ships. New Geneva only had 12 patrol boats and 2 small defense platforms. "Are you certain?" "Confirmed, Captain. The ships match no known human designs. They appear to be using some form of faster-than-light drive we have not seen before. Based on their course and speed, New Geneva appears to be their destination." "Thank you, Station 7. We will pass this information to Terra Command immediately." The transmission ended. Maria turned to her communications officer. "Get me Admiral at Terra Command. Maximum priority. Use the quantum relay." "Yes, Captain." Within minutes, Admiral Sarah appeared on the screen. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had commanded human space forces for 15 years. Behind her, Maria could see the massive command center of Terra Command, humanity's military headquarters. "Captain Santos, I received your transmission, 200 ships." "Yes, Admiral. Deep Space Station 7 confirmed the readings. They will arrive at New Geneva in 8 days. Admiral was quiet for a long moment. "Captain, begin evacuation procedures immediately. Get every civilian transport you can find. Get our people off that planet." "Admiral, with respect, 12 patrol boats cannot protect 3,000 evacuation ships from 200 warships." "I know that, Captain. Do not worry about fighting them. Your job is to get our people to safety. Terra Command will handle the rest." Something in the Admiral's voice made Maria pause. "Admiral, are we calling for help from the colonies? Even if every human ship in space comes to New Geneva, we will still be outnumbered." Admiral smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Captain, transmit evacuation orders and then maintain radio silence. Monitor all enemy transmissions and record everything. Do not engage them under any circumstances. Do you understand?" Yes, Admiral, but... Those are your orders, Captain. Out. The transmission ended. Maria stared at the blank screen. Something was happening, something the Admiral had not told her. In 15 years of service, Maria had never heard Admiral sound so prepared, like she had been expecting this. Meanwhile, aboard the Eternal Glory, Admiral watched his fleet move through quantum space. They had been traveling for 6 days. In 2 more days, they would reach the human system. His scouts had been monitoring human transmissions. Admiral, Commander said, we are receiving interesting communications from the human colony. What kind of communications? They appear to be evacuating their civilians. Thousands of ships are leaving the planet. They are broadcasting emergency evacuation orders. Was pleased. Good, they know we are coming. Their primitive sensors must have detected us. They are smart enough to know they cannot fight. Should we intercept the evacuation ships? No, let them run. We want the planet, not a massacre. Better to let them flee and avoid unnecessary cleanup. But as listened to more human transmissions, something began to bother him. The humans did not sound panicked. Evacuation orders were calm and organized. Ships launched on schedule. There was no chaos, no desperate fighting over transport space. It was like they had practiced this many times. Commander, how are they evacuating so efficiently? I do not understand, Admiral. Look at these reports. 3 million humans live on New Geneva. They are evacuating everyone in less than 5 days. That requires thousands of ships and perfect coordination. How does a primitive species organize something like that? Study the data. Perhaps they are more organized than we thought. Perhaps frowned. Something felt wrong, but he could not identify what it was. What about their military ships? Are they running too? Yes, Admiral. All human patrol boats have left the system. The planet appears to be completely undefended. That is strange. Most species at least try to defend their homes. Even when they know they cannot win, they usually make some gesture of resistance. Maybe humans are simply more practical, Admiral. They know they cannot fight us, so they do not try. Nodded, but the feeling that something was wrong would not go away. He had conquered many species. Some fought desperately. Some surrendered immediately. But he had never seen such a calm, organized retreat. It was like the humans had been planning for this exact situation. On Earth, Admiral stood in the Strategic Command Center. Around her, hundreds of officers worked at computer stations. Wall displays showed star maps, ship positions, and tactical data. In the center of the room was a massive holographic display showing the galaxy. Admiral, her aide said, New Geneva evacuation is 90% complete. All civilian transports will be clear of the system in 18 hours. Good, what about our observer ships? Captain Santos and 2 other patrol boats will remain hidden in the asteroid belt. They will monitor and record everything. Enemy fleet position. 47 hours from New Geneva. Admiral walked to a secure communication station. She entered her authorization codes and opened a channel that had never been used before. This is Admiral to all fleet commanders. Activate Protocol Omega. Repeat, activate Protocol Omega. Across human space, military commanders received the message. On distant bases and hidden shipyards, lights began turning on. Massive doors opened in space stations that had appeared to be simple mining platforms. From orbital shipyards that had claimed to build cargo vessels, warships began emerging. The human fleet had been hidden for 20 years. Every cargo ship, built since first contact with other species, had actually been designed for war. Every mining station contained hidden weapons and military supplies. Every peaceful colony had been planned as a military base from the beginning. Admiral looked at the tactical display. Red dots began appearing as human ships activated their transponders. Hundreds of red dots, then thousands. Admiral, her aide said quietly, Fleet Command reports all ships are responding. Total count is 843 vessels. Nodded, time to intercept. If we launch now, we can reach New Geneva system 12 hours after enemy arrival. Perfect timing, signal all ships we go to war. The fleet dropped out of quantum space at the edge of the New Geneva system. Admiral stood on his bridge, watching the tactical display update as his sensors swept the system. What he saw surprised him. "Commander, where are the human ships?" "Gone, Admiral. Our sensors detect no active military vessels anywhere in the system. The planet appears undefended." Studied the display. New Geneva hung in space like a blue-green jewel. 2 small moons orbited around it. Several space stations were visible, but they appeared to be simple civilian structures. No weapons signatures, no shields, no ships. "What about the defense platforms we detected earlier?" "Still there, Admiral. 2 orbital platforms above the main continent. But they appear to be very old technology. Simple kinetic weapons and basic sensors. They pose no threat to our shields." The Admiral felt relieved but also confused. He had expected at least some resistance. Most species tried to defend their homes, even when facing impossible odds. But the humans had simply run away. Perhaps they truly were more practical than other species. "Begin standard approach," ordered. "All ships maintain formation. Shields at maximum. Weapons powered but not locked on targets. We will give them a chance to surrender before we demonstrate our power." The fleet moved toward New Geneva in perfect formation. 200 ships arranged in a massive wedge shape. The largest cruisers at the front, destroyers on the flanks, support ships protected in the rear. It was a formation designed to show overwhelming force while maintaining maximum firepower. As they approached, activated the communication system. He had practiced this speech many times before. It was the standard surrender demand used by the Empire for over 300 years. "Attention, human colony of New Geneva. This is Admiral of the Empire. Your system now belongs to the Empire. You have 2 choices. Surrender peacefully and accept Imperial rule or be destroyed. You have 1 standard hour to respond." He waited. The response came faster than expected. "Admiral, this is Governor of New Geneva. Our civilian population has been evacuated as a precaution. We are prepared to discuss terms of surrender." Smiled. It was always easier when they were reasonable. "Governor, you have made a wise choice. Prepare to receive our landing parties. You will transfer all planetary resources and facilities to Imperial control. Your people will be relocated to designated Imperial worlds where they will serve as workers." "I understand, Admiral. However, I must inform you that our planetary defense computer has already transmitted detailed sensor readings of your fleet to our military command. We have recorded your weapons signatures, ship designs, and tactical formations." Something cold touched spine. "Why would you tell me this?" "Professional courtesy, Admiral. Our government believes in being honest about our capabilities and intentions." The Admiral felt confused. Why would a defeated enemy reveal their intelligence gathering? It made no tactical sense. Unless... "Commander, are you detecting any other human ships in this system?" "Negative, Admiral. Only those 2 defense platforms and some automated mining equipment in the asteroid belt." "What about ships approaching from outside the system?" Checked his sensors carefully. "No, Admiral. Space is clear in all directions. The nearest human colony is 40 light-years away. Even if they sent ships immediately, they could not arrive for several days." Relaxed slightly. Perhaps the humans were simply being defiant in defeat. Many species did that. They wanted to feel like they had accomplished something, even in surrender. "Governor, your intelligence gathering changes nothing. Prepare for our landing forces." "Of course, Admiral, but I think you should know something else. 15 minutes ago, our deep space communication array sent a message to Terra Command. The message was very simple. It said, "Package delivered." I thought you might find that interesting. Felt that cold touch again, stronger this time. What package? Oh, I think you understand, Admiral. For 50 years, humanity has been very interested in peaceful contact with advanced species like yours. We have asked many questions about your technology, your weapons, your ship designs. We have been very grateful for all the information your diplomatic missions have shared with us. The Admiral's 4 hands began moving over his control panels, ordering deep sensor sweeps of the entire system. What are you saying? I am saying that first contact with the Empire has been very educational for humanity. We learned so much about your capabilities, your strengths, your weaknesses. We have been such good students. Commander barked. Full sensor sweep. Check for cloaked ships, hidden bases, anything we might have missed. His hands flew over his controls. Minutes passed. Finally, he looked up with confusion. Admiral, sensors detect nothing. This system is empty except for us and the planet. But was no longer listening to his aide. He was thinking about 50 years of human questions, technical questions about weapons, detailed questions about ship armor and shield frequencies, questions about fleet tactics and formation flying. The humans had claimed they wanted to learn for peaceful purposes. They had seemed so primitive, so harmless. Governor, what did you mean by package delivered? Oh, that is simple, Admiral. The package was you, your fleet, your technology, everything our sensors have recorded in the last 2 hours. All of that data has been transmitted to our military command. They now know everything they need to know about capabilities. That intelligence will do them no good when they are dead. Perhaps, Admiral, but I think you might be surprised by what humanity has learned in 50 years of peace. We have been very busy. Suddenly, alarms began sounding on the Eternal Glories bridge. The long-range sensor officer turned toward with wide eyes. Admiral, multiple contacts appearing on sensors. They are dropping out of quantum space at the system's edge. How many? Admiral, I count over 800 ships. Stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Red dots were appearing everywhere, behind his fleet, to the sides, above and below. The humans had not run away. They had been waiting. Impossible, he whispered. The intelligence report said they only had 300 ships total. Governor's voice came over the communication channel one last time. Admiral, may I introduce you to the Earth Defense Fleet? I think you will find them very different from what your intelligence reports suggested. Oh, and Admiral, that was never Governor speaking to you. This is the planetary defense computer. Governor evacuated with everyone else 5 days ago. You have been talking to a machine this entire time. The communication channel went dead. On the tactical display, the red dots continued to multiply. 800 human ships, ships that were larger and more advanced than anything in the intelligence reports, ships that had appeared from nowhere with perfect coordination. Realized with growing horror that everything had been a lie. The primitive technology, the small fleet, the peaceful intentions. The humans had been preparing for this moment for 50 years. They had built a secret fleet while pretending to be harmless. They had gathered intelligence while claiming to want friendship. And now they had him trapped in their system, with nowhere to run. All ships, he broadcast to his fleet. Battle stations, we are under attack. Admiral Sarah stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, her flagship. Around her, 843 human ships moved in perfect formation. The fleet was trapped in the center of New Geneva system, surrounded on all sides. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, all ships are in position. The enemy fleet is completely surrounded. They have nowhere to run. Looked at the main display. The ships were trying to form defensive formations, but they were clearly panicked. Their movements were confused and desperate. After 600 years of easy victories, they had never faced a real fight. Open communication channels, all frequencies. Channels open, Admiral. His voice was calm and cold. It carried to every ship in the system, human and alien alike. Admiral of the Empire, this is Admiral Sarah of the Earth Defense Fleet. You came here to conquer humanity. You assumed we were primitive and weak. You were wrong. On the Eternal Glory listened with growing dread. The human ships were massive. His largest cruiser was 800 meters long. Some of the human ships appeared to be over 2 kilometers in length. Their hulls gleamed with unknown materials. Strange energy readings came from their weapon systems. "Human Admiral," he transmitted back, "we can negotiate. The Empire is willing to discuss terms." His response was immediate. "The time for negotiation is over. For 50 years, humanity has prepared for this moment. We studied your technology. We learned your tactics. We built our fleet specifically to fight the Empire. Today, you will learn what happens when you threaten Earth. All ships," broadcast to her fleet, "weapons free. Show them what humanity has learned." The human attack began without warning. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the human ships, but these were not the simple energy weapons they knew. These beams phased through shields like they did not exist. The shields that had protected the Empire for centuries were useless. "Impossible," shouted. "Our shields can stop any energy weapon." His science officer was frantically scanning the human weapons. "Admiral, these are not normal energy beams. They are shifting frequency thousands of times per second. Our shields cannot adapt fast enough." The first destroyer exploded in a ball of fire. Then another. The human energy weapons cut through alien hulls like they were made of paper. But that was not the worst part. The humans also had kinetic weapons, but not the primitive metal bullets the intelligence reports had described. Streams of projectiles poured from human ships, but these projectiles moved at incredible speeds and seemed to be made of some unknown material. When they hit hulls, they punched completely through the armor and exploded inside the ships. Each projectile was tiny, but they fired thousands per second. "How are they moving so fast?" asked in horror as human ships danced around the slower vessels. "Their drives," the science officer reported. "They are not using chemical rockets or nuclear engines. These are some form of gravity manipulation drive. They can accelerate at rates that would crush any organic crew." But the human crews were not being crushed. Through the chaos of battle, sensors detected something impossible. The human ships were pulling maneuvers that should have created deadly acceleration forces, but somehow the crews inside were protected. Watched the battle from her command chair. Everything was going exactly as planned. For 50 years, human scientists had studied technology. They had learned the exact frequencies of shields. They had analyzed the composition of armor. They had discovered the weaknesses in ship designs. The human fleet moved like a single organism. Ships that should have been impossible to coordinate acted with perfect unity. While they struggled to communicate across their fleet, human ships shared information instantly through quantum communication networks. "Admiral," her weapons officer reported, "enemy fleet strength is down to 60%. No human casualties." Nodded. They were dying bravely, but they were fighting the last war. Their weapons were designed to fight enemies with similar technology. Their tactics were based on 600 years of fighting primitive species. They had no idea how to fight an enemy that had built their entire military specifically to counter advantages. Watched his fleet die around him. Ships that had served the Empire for decades were being destroyed in minutes. His most experienced captains were helpless against human tactics they had never seen before. "Admiral," his communications officer shouted, "the humans are jamming our quantum communicators. I cannot reach the other ships." "How is that possible? They should not even know quantum communication exists." But even as he said it, knew the answer. The humans had known. For 50 years, they had learned everything about technology. They had built their ships not just to match the Empire, but to completely dominate it. A human dreadnought, larger than anything in the Imperial fleet, moved toward the eternal glory. Its weapons locked onto his flagship. The admiral knew his death was seconds away. "Wait," he transmitted on all frequencies. "We surrender. The fleet surrenders." The human weapons stopped firing. The sudden silence was deafening. Of 200 ships, only 47 were still operational. The others were debris floating in space. His voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, your surrender is accepted. Prepare to be boarded. You and your surviving crews will be taken prisoner." Admiral asked, "How long have you been planning this?" "Since the day we first met your species, Admiral. Humanity learned long ago that the galaxy is not a safe place for weak species. We decided we would not remain weak. But your colonies, your peaceful ships, your diplomatic messages. All real, Admiral. We truly did want peace, but we also prepared for war. Every human colony has military bases. Every human cargo ship was designed to carry weapons. Every diplomatic message gathered intelligence about potential enemies. We hoped we would never need to use our military, but we were ready." "Felt sick? How many ships do you really have?" "This fleet is 1/3 of humanity's total military force, Admiral. The Earth Defense Fleet has over 2,500 ships. We have been building in secret for 50 years." The boarding began within an hour. Human Marines in advanced armor entered the surviving ships. The aliens offered no resistance. They were too shocked by what they had witnessed. As was led away in restraints, he asked one final question. "What happens now?" Admiral looked at him with cold eyes. "Now the Empire learns that humanity is no longer a target for conquest. Your government will receive full censor records of this battle. They will see what happened to your fleet. They will understand that any attack on human territory will be met with overwhelming force. And if the Empire wants revenge." Smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Admiral, your Empire controls 3,000 systems. Humanity controls 17. But after today, your people will know something important. We are not the primitive species you thought we were. We are the species that destroyed 200 Imperial warships in 18 minutes without losing a single ship." As the human fleet began moving to escort their prisoners away from New Geneva, realized the terrible truth. Humanity had not just won a battle. They had announced their presence to the galaxy as a major military power. The age of easy conquest was over. 3 days after the Battle of New Geneva, the censor records arrived at the capital world of. Emperor Ash sat in his throne room, watching the tactical display with growing disbelief. 200 Imperial warships destroyed, 800 human ships appearing from nowhere, advanced weapons that made Imperial technology look primitive. "Play it again," the Emperor commanded. Grand Admiral manipulated the controls. Once more, the holographic display showed the battle. Human ships moving with impossible coordination. Imperial vessels exploding like toys. 18 minutes of complete destruction. "Is this real?" Emperor Ash asked. "We have the censor records, Your Majesty. 3 independent analysis teams confirm the data is genuine. The humans destroyed Admiral's fleet exactly as shown." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. In 600 years of expansion, the Empire had never suffered a defeat like this. They had occasionally lost individual ships to pirates or in accidents, but entire fleets, never. "How many ships do the humans have?" "Unknown, Your Majesty. Our intelligence was clearly wrong about everything. The human admiral mentioned that her fleet was 1/3 of their total force. If that is true, they have over 2,000 ships." 2,000 ships, the Emperor repeated. "How is that possible? They have only 17 colonies." "We believe they have been building in secret for decades, Your Majesty. Every human facility may have hidden military purposes. Their cargo ships may be disguised warships. Their mining stations may be weapon factories." Emperor Ash stood and walked to the massive window that looked out over his capital city. Millions of lived and worked in the towers below. For 6 centuries, they had felt safe behind the Imperial fleet. No enemy had ever threatened them. But now, a species they had dismissed as primitive had revealed military power that could challenge the Empire itself. "What are our options?" the Emperor asked. "We could assemble a larger fleet, Your Majesty. Send 5,000 ships to human space, overwhelm them with numbers. And if they have hidden bases we do not know about? What if they have more ships than they revealed? What if their technology is even more advanced than we saw?" Grand Admiral had no answer. The humans had hidden their true capabilities for 50 years. They could be hiding anything. "There is another option, Your Majesty," a new voice said. Both the Emperor and Grand Admiral turned. Fleet Commander X had entered the throne room. She was young for her position, but known for unconventional thinking. "Speak," the Emperor commanded. "We could try diplomacy, Your Majesty. Real diplomacy. Not conquest or surrender demands, but actual negotiation between equals." "Equals?" Grand Admiral sounded offended. "They are a tiny species with 17 worlds." 17 worlds that just destroyed 200 of our best ships, X replied. "Your Majesty, we have always assumed that military power comes from the size of your empire. But the humans have shown that is not true. Quality matters more than quantity. Technology matters more than numbers. They built a small but incredibly advanced fleet." Emperor Ash considered this. "What would you propose?" "A peace treaty, Your Majesty. Official recognition of human territory. Establishment of proper diplomatic relations. Maybe even a trade agreement." "You want to treat these humans as our equals?" "Your Majesty, they just proved they are our equals. Maybe our superiors. We can either accept that and try to learn from them, or we can keep fighting and risk losing even more ships." Meanwhile, in human space, the news of victory was spreading rapidly. On Earth, crowds gathered in the streets to celebrate. For 50 years, humans had lived with the fear that more advanced species might try to conquer them. Now they knew they could defend themselves. Admiral stood in the Terra Command briefing room, addressing the leaders of the Earth government. The President, the Secretary of Defense, and the heads of all major colonies participated by video link. "The strategic situation has changed completely," reported. "Before the battle, humanity was seen as a minor species that could be ignored or easily conquered. Now we are recognized as a major military power." "What does that mean for our future?" President Williams asked. "It means we have options, Mr. President. We can continue expanding peacefully, knowing that other species will think twice before threatening us. We can negotiate from a position of strength. We can choose our own path in the galaxy." "What about the Empire? Will they try to get revenge?" "Possibly, but our intelligence suggests they are reconsidering their position. The battle records have been distributed throughout their empire. Every military officer has now seen what our fleet can do. Many of them are advising caution." Secretary of Defense Martinez leaned forward. "Admiral, in your professional opinion, are we safe from Imperial attack?" "In the short term, yes. They will need time to analyze what happened and decide how to respond. In the long term, we need to continue building our fleet. We showed them our capabilities, but we also revealed our locations and our numbers. How quickly can we expand our military production?" "We have plans ready, Mr. Secretary. Within 5 years, we can double our fleet size. Within 10 years, we can field 5,000 ships." President Williams nodded. "Do it. And Admiral, I want you to begin reaching out to other species in the galaxy. Not just the major powers like the Empire, but smaller species that might be interested in defensive alliances." "You want to create an alliance of minor species?" "I want to create an alliance of free species, Admiral. Planets and systems that do not want to be conquered by empires. Humanity can provide military protection in exchange for trade and mutual defense treaties. 3 weeks after the Battle of New Geneva, the first official diplomatic message arrived from the Empire. It was not a demand for surrender or a threat of invasion. It was a request for peace negotiations. Emperor Ash himself appeared on the communication screen in Admiral's office. The alien leader looked older and more tired than he had in previous diplomatic recordings. "Admiral," the Emperor said, "the Empire wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. We propose a peace treaty and the establishment of a neutral zone between our territories. I am authorized to negotiate on behalf of the Earth government, Your Majesty," replied. "But I should inform you that humanity's terms have changed since New Geneva." "What are your terms?" "First, recognition of human sovereignty over all current human colonies and any future human expansion within 50 light-years of our current borders. Second, exchange of ambassadors and establishment of trade relations. Third, mutual non-aggression pact. And fourth, reparations for the families of humans killed in your attack on New Geneva." Emperor Ash was quiet for several moments. These were not the terms of a defeated species begging for mercy. These were the demands of a victorious military power. "Your terms are acceptable," he finally said. "The Empire agrees to these conditions." Admiral smiled. "Excellent, Your Majesty. I believe this will be the beginning of a very different relationship between our species." After the communication ended, looked out the window of her office at the Terra Command shipyards. New ships were under construction. Larger ships, more advanced ships. Humanity had won their first battle, but they knew it would not be their last. The galaxy was full of species like the empires that believed might made right, civilizations that conquered weaker neighbors without thought. For thousands of years, small species had been victims of larger ones. But now there was a new power in the galaxy. A species that looked small and peaceful but possessed advanced technology and ruthless tactical thinking. A species that had spent 50 years preparing for war while pretending to want peace. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy. The age of easy conquest was over. The age of human expansion had begun. And across the stars, in council chambers and war rooms on 1,000 worlds, the same question was being asked. If the humans could hide this much military power for 50 years, what else might they be hiding?